What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Hollywood Tales. I'm your host, Ahmed Ahmed. We have my co-host,
Blake Barty. How's it going?
We are excited about this episode. We have an awesome guest that's going to come on. I will introduce him in a minute, but right out of the gate, we just want to say thanks for tuning in. We have started our own YouTube channel. Just go to Hollywood Tales Podcast. You can also check us out on the YouTube channel at Jam in the Van. We are recording right here from the Jam in the Van studios in West Hollywood. If you haven't been, it's an awesome spot. Live music, live comedy. They do all kind of cool, like weird, artistic, fun activities and shows and programs and all that. If you don't know about this place, the back history of it is it used to be a rehab center. Yeah, so we're back. Nothing's changed. We've had some really amazing guests on so far, and we're excited to bring on this next guest. But first, I want to give a big shout out and thanks to the owners, Dave and Jake. Jake Trainer, who runs the facility, Jack Higgins, our creative director, and Wolf Ramirez over there, who you can't see, who's puppeteering this whole operation. Thank you, Wolf. We are psyched. We have some shows coming up. Cruisers comedy show tonight is our last show in Huntington Beach, and then we are pivoting over to Newport Beach, their other location. It seems that the Huntington Beach crowd didn't really like stand-up comedy for some reason. Every week there was like fights going on and heckling and just crazy shit. So the owner was like kind enough to say, hey, I have another location in Newport Beach that might be a little bit more comedy friendly, so let's do that. So tonight is our last night. You probably won't see this for a week. I don't know when this is going to drop, but moving forward, Cruisers, Huntington Beach. So far, it's every Thursday. I'm sorry, Newport Beach.
We'll be in Newport, yeah.
It'll be in Newport Beach at Cruisers Comedy Club, Cruisers Bar, but we do comedy there. We have some dates coming up in Chicago at the Comedy Bar. Blake and I will be there April 15th and 16th, the Comedy Bar in Chicago. And then we're just trying to line up some other stuff, for this summer. So it should be a fun summer, a busy summer. Nice weather's coming up. COVID has finally become sort of a past tense. Yeah, disappeared. No masks. Everybody's vaxxed or anti-vaxxed or whatever. At any rate, we're going to loop in our guest today. Okay, so let me just tell you about his credits. He just directed a film called Studio 666 with the Foo Fighters. And I haven't seen it. I saw a trailer. It looks sort of like a musical horror comedy, but I'll let our director explain a little bit more about it. However, I want to just tell you some of the credits that he has. Now, he is a director and a writer and a producer, and he has one acting credit, which I found. But he's directed, he was camera operator, Steadicam operator on so many big projects, including Ant-Man, Ballers, Avengers, Age of Ultron, The Interview, Neighbors, Lone Survivor, Mortal Kombat, Jack Reacher, The Walking Dead. The list goes on and on. If you just IMDb BJ McDonnell, check out all his credits and check out his movie that's out now, Studio 666. Please welcome to Hollywood Tales our guest, BJ McDonnell.
Hello, how you doing?
Hey,
What's
how's
up,
it going,
brother?
BJ?
You made me blush with all the stuff talking about my past career.
Well, you have 172 camera department credits. I've never even heard of that.
See this gray? I'm 46 years old.
Really? So I saw some, and maybe we'll try to dig him up. And Wolf Ramirez, who's our videographer, editor, producer here behind the scenes, we can try to pull up some old photos of you. But you used to be really clean cut. I saw some pictures of you online that was like GQ model kind of look. You were going there for a while.
I kind of like to change up my look. I like to just make sure people forget who I am. Maybe that's what keeps it fresh, because people that have hired me before, then they see me with a haircut, they go, "Who is that guy?" Totally
well, when you first came on here virtually, like at first look, I was like, "Oh, Dave Grohl? We have Dave with us." You guys look a little similar. Have you gotten that before?
Oh, there's some hilarious photos of all of us together, like on set, where like Dave's wearing a flannel shirt, Rami's wearing a flannel shirt. I'm wearing a flannel shirt, and we're all like together with it looked like we all looked at each other and said, what flannel are you wearing today, bro? Totally unintentional, but yeah, no, people would come up behind me on set too and like tap me like, hey Dave, and I'm like, I turn around, they'd be like, oh no, you're not Dave.
You're like, I'm the director. Go
Yeah,
back to your
yeah,
go
no.
back to your thing. Go back to your trailer.
I think you have to have long hair to direct horror films.
Every time I've directed a horror feature, I've always had long hair. I don't know what it is. Maybe that's just what happens, but I'm getting to the point now where I'm ready to cut all this crap off.
So let's dig into the movie. Studio 666. It's a comedy horror thriller kind of thing, music oriented sort of film that I think Dave Grohl wrote or co-wrote with one of his partners. And then how did you sign on as the director, or how did they sign you on as the director? I guess is my question.
Dave had the idea of like what he wanted to do, like as a film. Like he had like basically just a pitch idea of like what he was thinking. And he went to his buddies Jim Rhoda and John Ramsey, who are also producers that I know really well, that I've worked with in the past, and that they produce Sound City, Sonic Highways, a lot of their music videos, and they're like kind of like the odd, like the visual side of like the Foo Fighters stuff. They were like, hey, you should probably show this pitch to BJ, BJ McDonnell. And Dave knew me before because I worked on the Run music video with him as a camera operator. Okay. And they were like, yeah, he did these Slayer videos. It like wrote and directed them. They had the storyline. It's super gory. And this is like, I know what you're kind of wanting to do. So they sent me the pitch. I looked at this pitch and then I kind of wrote in things that I thought would be cool to do on top of that, like just story ideas and plot points, just to give it a little bit more depth. I made a lookbook with imagery of like what it should look like, the feel and tone of like what we should go for, like in my opinion, what we should go for. We had a meeting and we chatted about all that. He loved what I was trying to show him, like how I wanted the film to look and feel. He also, we agreed that we wanted to make first and foremost a very much band film, something that had like the lightheartedness and fun feel of a band film that doesn't take itself seriously. That just is one of those things where you can get in there and have a good time. And also keeping with the horror genre of the 80s, like with the kills being fun and hilarious, not like something that you're going to go home and think about and like, oh my God. It needed to be more of the vibe of like Friday the 13th, like where you're waiting for the kills because they're so outlandish and funny that like we wanted to make sure that people were just all around having fun. Even when it did get to the horror parts, it had to be fun. That was just the main point of this whole thing. It was also being like, going back to the Foo Fighters videos that they've done in the past, we wanted to make sure we kept that vibe for the Foo Fighters fans. So not only appease the horror fans, but also the Foo Fighters fans who love the old Foo Fighters videos. So that's really what it was. I mean, it's band movie 1, comedy 2, and horror film 3, and a throwback to the 80s.
And what's it like working with the Foo Fighters, directing them? Like directing rock stars must be a little more difficult than directing like just regular actors, right?
It's definitely different, and that was like concern when I got into like when I knew we were going to do this. However, I was comfortable because I've seen the videos and I knew that they were really funny guys and they would love doing it. It's a whole different beast though when you're doing a music video where it's just images and like, now do this. This is funny. To where actually now the guys have to learn dialogue and actually have to kind of express emotion or be in the character of what is going on in that typical scene. That's a whole different ballgame there. So I was a little bit nervous, but when the guys got there, my whole approach to the thing was, guys, remember, you guys aren't creating a character. You're not becoming Dracula here. You're not becoming like the Godfather. Each one of you guys is playing yourself. So whatever we have on the script here, make sure we follow the script topic and the subject matter, but it's totally cool to go off and do what you would actually say, to the other person in response to what the dialogue is going to be. It's more fun if you guys are actually being you, because the other approach is I wanted to make sure that people got to see what the individual band members really kind of were like, and like just their personalities alone. And the script was basically written in relation to like how the guys actually really kind of are in real life, or like they're like Rami's actually how Rami is, Pat's how Pat is. They're all like they all play that. I wanted people to know who they were individually, and I think it just makes it more as a better character, and it makes you feel like you're a band member in the band when they're trying to figure out the songs. It kind of puts you in that way. It's cool.
So there was a lot of improvisation going on, I would imagine.
Tons of improv, and that was the whole thing of getting into it. Is we knew we were going to get more gold if we let the guys just kind of riff on each other and do improv. Obviously, if the train started going off the tracks, I'd always pull it back and be like, okay, guys, you guys start talking about this over here. You guys are going to go off this. That's not in the script. Let's stay on topic, and like I'd have to rope them back in every now and then. But everybody was laughing and coming up with their own stuff. I don't think Taylor ever read the script. And so, when he came in, he'd find out what he was doing, and he would find out like when he would have to respond like to a certain actor, and he knew that was his time. And it was fun though, because like we knew that was going on, so we would just yell to like Taylor, like, say this, Taylor. Okay, now say this. You have to say this, and you're like, oh, okay, and then you like make fun of it and do his own thing. So yeah, total improv, and that's another reason why a lot of the other cast too were people that we knew could improv, because
you had Jeff Garlin, who's a friend of mine in the movie, comedian, very well-known comedian from Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Great with improv. Awesome.
Great with improv, Chicago guy. And you had Whitney Cummings, who's also a comic.
Comic, improv.
How was it working with? I've known Whitney for a very long time. I haven't seen her in a very long time, but we kind of started out at the Comedy Store back in the day together.
Oh yeah,
her career's taken off.
She's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, right to the moon.
Yeah, I mean, and we got a lot of the cast members are people that like we all individually knew. So Whitney and Jeff kind of came from the Dave camp, just we knew that Whitney was going to be perfect for that part of Samantha in the movie. Like she would be perfect for it. Plus her improv skills are great. I brought in Will Forte because of MacGruber. Yeah, and I've known him since that. I brought in.
You were a camera operator or a director on MacGruber?
I was the camera operator on the MacGruber movie.
That's right.
And I brought in Leslie Grossman. I did a season of American Horror Story. And she was great. I knew she'd be perfect for that part, and she came in, she killed it, and she's a pro. So it was like a lot, most of the people in the movie, like even down to, Kerry King's in the movie. So I brought him in from the Slater videos I did. He was, right. Yeah. So we just all kind of collectively brought in people to be in this film. And
you guys shot this during the pandemic, right?
We started before the pandemic.
Oh, before the pandemic.
Yeah. We started right before the pandemic, and then we got shut down when the world shut down. Right, when everybody had to go home and isolate, the whole crew we had to all isolate. And that's the thing, like the movie wasn't done yet. And when you're renting a location, you have to, money just doesn't stop. So we thought we were going to be done for 2-3 weeks, maybe. We didn't expect that it was going to take us 6 to 7 months to come back.
Wow.
And that's how long it took in between. So I edited remotely from my office where I'm in now. I have a bunch of editing monitors and stuff to do zooms and see timelines and all that crap all over the place. I edited what I had, and then we just got to a place where we couldn't edit anymore, because we just didn't have the rest of the footage. So 6 months later, I forgot how long it was, but we came back and we finished the movie.
And how much footage had you shot prior to the pandemic?
I believe we were a 27-day shoot schedule, I think, which is pretty short. We shot 20 days. So we had 7 days left, and
that's crazy.
Yeah. And it was really hard because when you go, oh God, are we going to come back? Everybody worked so hard, was having such a good time. And you're like, is this going to come back? Are we going to finish this? Oh, crap. And every month that went by, I was like, oh my God, I hope we come back. And then we did. And we had to add a couple extra days when we came back, because we were also one of the guinea pigs in Hollywood to basically figure out how coming back to work during a pandemic and with all the PPE gear we had to wear, with COVID testing, the COVID testing alone costs, we had to add a bunch to the budget just because of the testing. I mean, it was insane. Every crew member had to test 3 times a week. We had to have PPE. We had to have sanitary stations set up. I mean, it was a whole thing. So I think in the end, we got a couple extra days to finish the movie. I think we ended up shooting 32 days out of 27 days.
Just because still a short
very
shooting
short.
schedule. Yeah.
Oh, it is. And for a movie like this, it's very short, and also our days became short. Our days had to be shorter. We had to now shoot 10-hour days instead of 12-hour days. So we instantly lost 2 hours, and 2 hours is vital when you're making a movie. It really is. The worst enemy you have directing on a set or working on a set is the time. As soon as the time starts, you're like, oh God, we got to go. Let's go. Because you got so much you have to do. And people don't understand that don't work in the film business.
Right.
You made a movie. No, you're racing a clock, and sometimes you're lucky to make your day.
Right. Yeah. You started out directing music videos. Was that what I sort of read online about you, or was it camera operating first and then you got into music videos? I became a camera. I came to LA to direct, but I kind of got off the path
because I didn't know how to get into like working on a film set. So I became a grip on movie sets with my friends that I knew that were working as grips. And then I kind of like went from like, my whole focus of directing, and I started really getting obsessed with like the camera operating side of things. So I thought it was really interesting and a very cool, career on set. So I dove into that world for a while. That took me, and I'm glad I did, because it actually taught me so much about, actors and directing and photography and how much time it takes for every person's job on set. I think it's very vital. Set etiquette, it taught me all that. And then I kind of just got back into directing again. And now I'm just more on that path. I'm still camera operating. I love it. But I'm also I go back and forth, it's just whatever the project is. And if it's going to be fun and we're going to have a good time, I'm down for it.
Do you consider yourself a cinematographer or a camera operator?
Camera operator.
What's the difference?
Cinematographer is in control of basically the lighting and the look of the movie. So for me directly, I work with a cinematographer and say, okay, like, what do you feel and like how you want to shoot this, or what kind of angles you want, or like, we talk about the lenses, we talk about what he's trying to, to do in the camera movement itself. He deals with lighting with the electrics and the grips and makes the lighting what it is. I kind of like sit back and tell the guys, like, helping the DP out, saying, hey, look, the lights in the shot, we're going to move that, do this, So I work hand in hand with the cinematographer, but I'm a camera operator.
I feel like the camera operators are really the directors on movie sets, TV as well.
I mean, it honestly, it really.
I don't want to take anything away from directors.
Oh no,
but you guys are physically holding the camera and moving it.
A lot of the times we're talking more to the actors than a lot of people do, and we tell them like what they're doing when they come on sets and things like that. Especially now, since a lot of times we're just all back in Video Village world. I'm actually right there on set. Me and the ACs and the dolly grip are always with the actors, and so they always usually come to me and say, "Hey, what are we doing?" Like the director come in, what they're up to, but a lot of times they step on set and say, "Hey, and I just give them the direction, like, "Oh, you go from this point to this point, blah blah." But I always step back when the director comes in to tell them what they want to do in the scene, acting wise. So that's not my when I'm camera operating, I'm camera operating. When I'm directing, then I'm talking to the actors about the emotion of the scene, what their character's doing, what happened before this take, or like what happened before this scene that you're about to do, just so it gets them in the mode. I always take those jobs. I step back and I do my job if I'm an operator, and I direct when I'm a director.
And I was mentioning some of the films that you have been camera operator on. Top Gun, the Top Gun.
I did all that movie took a long time to make, and I did all the end of it.
Just the end part of the film.
Yeah, I can't talk too much about Top Gun because I'm NDA, but let's just say there was some, that was a hard one to shoot. But yes, I was at the end. A lot of the credit, there's a lot of credits on my IMDb that I don't put up that are like Avengers. I did all the reshoots of Avengers. Ant-Man, I did all the reshoots of Ant-Man. Shazam, I was the full-time operator on that. Salem's Lot and the Conjuring movies, all those things, I was full-time on all those. So it's, sometimes IMDb can be a little misleading, but for the most part, those credits, I am the full-time operator.
We have a little bit of a, what do you call it? Connection in some way. We were both part of the Marvel universe.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I was in the first Iron Man movie.
Oh, that's awesome. Really?
That's how I met Chris Sadler.
Oh yeah.
At the time, it was 2000. And by the way, thanks, Chris Sadler, if you're watching this. The reason why BJ's here is because of Chris Sadler. Chris Sadler, he's an AD now, but he started out as a, what was it? He was a PA, I think, on Iron Man.
Yeah.
I think he was, or he would wrangle the actors when it was time for us to go on set. But yeah, we were both in the first Iron Man film that Jon Favreau directed, and our dear friend Peter Billingsley produced, and that's how I got in the movie. That's how I met Chris. We've been friends ever since.
He's awesome. Honestly, he was so great to work with, and whenever we would have like any kind of scheduling things that came up, if we were a little behind in our day, Chris was always on point of like basically how we would fix it. I'd go, Chris, I don't know, man, we're kind of a little bit behind on our day. What do you think? And he'd be like, hold on. He'd figure it out, and we'd come back, and he was on point. So he was really
such a pro.
Production. He was so key to have.
Yeah, he's a real pro. We're actually working on a couple things right now that we're trying to develop. But the other question I had for you was, you worked with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, it looks like twice?
I did Ballers
and Central Intelligence.
I did some of Central Intelligence also, but I did all of Ballers. He's awesome.
He seems like a really cool dude.
He's like the nicest guy, like people like when he's out and like people bring their kids up to the set and like he'll stop and like take time to talk to the kids and like really like give them attention. And I find that a real great trait in actors and people like that actually do take time out of their. I mean, he's got a busy schedule, and he actually takes the time to do that stuff. And like kudos to him. He's a pleasure to work with on set. He's very nice to the crew, and it's like you look at the guy, he's so big and intimidating, but he's like a giant teddy bear.
Yeah, I met him once really briefly at the premiere of a movie called Be Cool.
Oh, yeah.
You remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Vince Vaughn was in it. He was in it. John Travolta. It was the sequel to Get Shorty, I think.
Yes.
And,
Yep.
he couldn't have been nicer. This was before he really started to blow up, but he couldn't have been nicer. He really reminds me of like a modern day superhero. Not only physically, but just his, like you said, he takes time to say hi to kids and give to charities, and he just is so.
I don't think he sleeps.
I don't think he sleeps either.
It's amazing. And like, some people are in so demand that it's like, how do you even like have time for your life? I get done basically with like my morning, and I'm like, I'm tired.
No, I mean, this guy's in the gym at like 3 a.m. every night, and he has this intense eating schedule, and
yeah,
it's crazy. Where he's come from and where he's gone. Let's talk about where you came from. Where did you? I couldn't find it. I couldn't find it online. You said you moved here to LA from where?
Pensacola, Florida.
Ah, you're a Florida boy.
I was born in Van Nuys, California.
You were?
I was born in California. I'm a day walker.
Okay.
I have Florida blood, California blood, but I got some Florida in me. I can get a little Florida every now and then.
Okay. Good to know. Good to know. Just note to self. Let me make it.
Yeah, don't let the Florida come out. Yeah, no, I was born in Van Nuys, and my grandfather was an old actor. His name was Leif Erikson. He did like On the Waterfront, High Chaparral, the original Invaders from Mars.
Wow.
Meet Captain Kidd. I think he was Roustabout with Elvis. So the guy was, he